Thank you for joining us for Ingenuity Marketing Group's webinar on the best of both worlds, dominating online and offline marketing. We are Ingenuity Marketing Group. For those of you who don't know Ingenuity, we are a marketing firm located in St. Paul, Minnesota. We focus exclusively on working with professional service firms across the country, north, south, east, west. We spend a lot of our time working with accountants, lawyers, engineers, and if your organization ends in a firm, we probably would like to work with you. This is me. I'm Shana Karle. I'm a marketing consultant here at Ingenuity Marketing Group and have been for almost 3 years. Prior to that, I was a marketing director in-house for a CPA firm here in Minneapolis. I also have past experience in the publishing world as well as events. And sitting next to me is...
I am Cortney Galster. I am also a marketing consultant here at Ingenuity, and I focus heavily on online campaigns. So both of us work in both the traditional and online space, but Shana has a background in traditional and I have a background in online work. So we come together to give you the best of both of those areas. This is our team. We offer a full in-house staff here at Ingenuity. We have several writers, graphic designers, marketing consultants, and more. And this is a list of our agency capabilities. We are strongly focused on small business growth. We do quite a bit of growth consultation. We do a lot of brand development. We can also do public relations and media relations for your firm, as well as strategic coaching to help your leaders become great at business development.
So online versus traditional tactics. Before we jump in, I have to tell a little bit of a funny story about how this webinar came to be. Cortney and I were sitting in Ingenuity Marketing's strategic retreat back in February. And I don't really remember the specifics, but I remember we were going back and forth about a specific online marketing tactic, arguing a little bit about its effectiveness, where it would be best used, how would it best reach our clients. And so we kind of said jokingly we should do a webinar where it's online versus traditional tactics and a little bit more of a face-off variety, pitting one against the other. But realistically, the more we talked about it, we were like, well, that's a silly approach because hardly ever would we recommend to any of our clients just doing one tactic over the other. So we decided to do a webinar that really focuses on the success that we've had integrating both online and traditional marketing tactics for our clients. So let's get started. One other thing before we get going, there's a question box, so along the way, if any of you have questions, feel free to type it in. If we don't get to it right away, we will at a kind of a natural break. So any questions along the way, let us know. So traditional events and face-to-face marketing tactics. As I said in my introduction, I do have a background in events, and I think events are one of the most important marketing tactics you can employ for your organizations, and even particularly with professional service firms. Events is a great way to get face-to-face and in front of your prospective clients and even your current clients in a way to share information in a face-to-face manner. We like to say here at Ingenuity that before a prospect will work with you, they need to know you, like you, and trust you. And in order for them to know you, like you, and trust you, face-to-face is a great way to enhance that relationship. I would say, we say about 8 to 14 touches are needed for a prospect to turn into a client, and 5 of those have to be experiences, and an event would definitely be an experience. Events can be anything from sponsoring a table at a nonprofit event, hosting a seminar in your firm's conference room, exhibiting at a trade show, speaking at an event, or even designing your own event to participate in.
Looking at the online side of referral-based marketing is kind of a hotter topic today of lead generation videos. And if you've seen these on any of your other professionals' websites, competitors' websites, what they are is basically a way to introduce a prospect to your firm, They talk a little bit about your knowledge and leadership within an industry, and they have a strong call to action at the end of them. They're typically quite short, about 2 to 3 minutes long. They address a top prospect pain and how you can help a prospect solve that pain. So speaking directly to what they're suffering from within their market. Typically, we recommend that these are supplemental to the subjects that you're speaking about or presenting at events. So if you're presenting to a particular group Phil's going to talk a little bit more specifically about independent pharmacies in just a moment. But if you were looking to target just a CPA audience, make it something that they're experiencing around, like staff development or retaining top clients. The nice thing about these is that they don't have to be professionally produced. You can do something as simple as using Skype. You can do something with just a flip cam in your office, which those typically run a couple $100, so they're not a huge investment of your time. And the ads themselves can live on YouTube, so you're not spending a ton of money on these lead generation videos, and they really do work. There are some supplemental tactics that you can use to get people to these lead generation videos that we'll talk about in a moment. But these are a great way to bring in clients or prospects to your firm to get them some more face-to-face interaction with you where it's not necessarily in person. And they're great to supplement what you do at events.
So we have had great success with one of our clients based out of North Carolina. Sykes is a CPA firm, and we have worked diligently with them to develop an event calendar and to supplement that, like Courtney was saying, with video blogs. So how we do this is we look at the year and get a full understanding of the events that this firm will be either exhibiting at, speaking at, or even simply just attending. And so we map those out on the calendar, and we build around it video blogs pre-event. So Alan will hop on this. We do it via Skype. We'll hop on Skype with one of the communication consultants here at Ingenuity and go back and forth on answering and asking questions. And the video is developed around that specific target audience. So he really focuses on independent pharmacy owners. So we will talk with him about the type of pain that those owners are experiencing, and that's what the video will be around. And then following up from that, the video will be posted prior to, we'll promote it during the event, and then following the event, we send out a newsletter that pushes everybody back to the website so they can see the video that was posted. Supplementally, in addition to that, not only do we do videos around the events that he's going to be speaking at, we post probably 2 videos a month. But we build out the event strategy specifically because they do about 8 events, and we want to target that specific audience at that time.
It looks like we have a question.
Oh, okay.
How did they drive people from a speaking event to videos on their website?
Oh, good question. And I can expand a little bit on that. So when we do the calendar of events, we have the video and the topic formulated in advance of what we want to make sure the event audience knows. We will post it in advance, and then we set up tweets and LinkedIn posts even before they're at the event. This has worked super successfully because we know about the event, we know the audience, we know when he's speaking, we know if they're doing a trade show booth, what that booth number is. And so we set up tweets and LinkedIn updates to go out periodically throughout the show. And like I said, then we follow up with a newsletter that pushes people back to the video page. And these videos don't go off their website once the event is over and done. We are continuously building a library. So as people come to the site, we have built in links so that they can get more information from the videos based on what they're looking at. Thought leadership. Thought leadership, I know you have all probably experienced doing something around thought leadership. It is kind of a tried and true marketing tactic where you identify somebody or somebodies within your firm who have an expertise in an industry or a specific service, and you really want to build them up in the mind of the public, and particularly your prospects, as the expert in that area. I just talked about Sykes, and they really have developed thought leadership on accounting services for independent pharmacies. Everything that they do, including the events and the video blogs, drive back to that goal of reaching all those independent pharmacy owners. So at your firm or organization, you would maybe pick somebody who has an expertise in the manufacturing industry, just as an example. And some of the traditional ways to position them as thought leadership is to leaders is to write articles for trade magazines that can get published, positioning them, making sure their bio is written really well on the website to highlight the expertise that they have in that particular industry. We love speaking. We think speaking is a great way to reach your target audience. And when you speak, make sure, even if it's a more general speech, that in your introduction or as you're exiting the stage, you tie in that piece about you of where that expertise lies. And of course, being active in associations. And the most important part of being active in association is making sure that your A prospects are there, the people that you want to turn into clients, because there's an association for absolutely everything. So even within a specific industry, such as auto dealerships, for example, sometimes there can be 15 different associations to choose from. You want to be really selective and make sure that your A clients are there. And then position yourself as the expert. Sponsor events that relate directly to that industry. Make sure you speak at those associations. And capitalize on that. If you're speaking, make sure you can turn it into an article. And so you get multiple touches with using one speech.
Online content creation and curation is really kind of the online world method for thought leadership. So there's a big difference between creation and curation. Anything that falls under the creation category is original content like blogs, white papers, and articles that live on your website. Curation is when you take publications or articles that are published that are written by other people and curate them for your audience. So you might take an article written in Forbes or on Forbes' website and say, this was really pertinent to my audience. I'm going to write a catchy title and link to this through my social media. Or I'm going to have a link to this article live on a particular niche industry page on my website. There's a big difference between the creation and curation side of it. And both sides of this are really important. You should be creating content that's original because it positions yourself as a thought leader. But you can also curate content because it helps to supplement the rate at which you're able to produce content on your own. And it does still help present you as a thought leader. You just need that original content to supplement those external articles throughout your site.
I think that curation piece too, Courtney, really shows you're active in a particular area.
It does. It shows that you're knowledgeable and that you are participating in the industry across the board. So you're participating, you're doing all of these traditional things like going to association meetings, you're participating at trade shows, but you're also participating in the online world and knowing what's newsworthy and relevant in kind of a real-time aspect.
And the great thing about, just kind of a side note about thought leadership, whether it be a more traditional tactic or online, it really is a phenomenal way to build visibility and credibility for your firm and for that specific individual.
The nice thing about online is that it has a much wider reach than who you're going to reach online or in person. So if you can really target the SEO, the search engine optimization on your website, especially where it comes to the content that you're creating, you can essentially reach people all over the world with the click of a mouse. And we can certainly talk more about SEO offline if that's something that you're interested in. We weren't going to focus too much on that today, but that is a big aspect of creating and curating content for your website. So VKR is a client of ours. They are an accounting association based out of New York, and they do such a great job of integrating both the traditional and the online versions of thought leadership. They host their own conferences. They host their own panels at other conferences. They create content that they push out to the media and they push out on their own website. They have several LinkedIn groups. They have a public LinkedIn group, and then they have a private group for their members only. And then they also curate a ton of information specifically from their members because they're a worldwide organization. So they republish a lot of information that links back to their members. We've worked specifically on helping them develop their thought leadership in the content area. So we've helped them pull together some new articles. We've helped them get published in publications like on Accounting Today's website. They've been all over the internet, and they've been published in a lot of trade publications as well. So we have certainly helped them build that side of it, and they really had the curation and traditional thought leadership side of that established on their own.
Okay. Oh, okay. We have a question. It's how do you determine what is newsworthy and supports thought leadership?
I think that anything that you're going to publish should show that you're an expert and speaks to what you do. That's something that BKR is really great at. Everything that they do speaks to what they are an expert on. So making sure that anything that you're republishing speaks to something that you can, a pain that you can help your client solve or your prospect solve, as well as is really relevant to their industry and their business.
Oh, referrals. We all love referrals. It is one of the best ways to get qualified prospects talking to you. But the way we get referrals has really changed in the last few years. It used to be, if I would say to Cortney here, hey, Cortney, do you have a mechanic you really like or would recommend? She'd maybe give me one name, and I'd call the mechanic and take my car in the next day. But because of the world we're living in, where there's so much information coming at us continuously, you know, I might say, do you have a mechanic you'd recommend? And she might give me 2 or 3. She might give me a short list of people that she knows or has worked with. And it's the same thing in the professional service world, even more so, I would say. So the key to getting referrals is you want to be on that referral short list. That if somebody is asking for an accounting firm, engineering firm, law firm, whatever the case is, that if they're giving that prospective clients a list of 2 or 3, that you are on that short list. And so there has to be a strategy that you employ to make sure you are on that short list. And I would recommend highly that if you look through your referral sources, really identify 1 or 2 per industry that you feel you can build a relationship with that goes relatively deep. You want to not just meet them once a year at an event, but you want to take them for coffee, link in with them, take them to, well, here in Minnesota, I guess a Twins game or wherever you're at, some type of event. And the important piece with referrals is making sure, and I mentioned this earlier, that the referral sources that are who you are targeting are the referral sources that can get you the clients that you want. Ingenuity, a few years back, we were getting a ton of referrals, but what we were recognizing was the referrals that we were getting actually wasn't the type of clients that we wanted to work with. So we created a best referral sheet that talked about our core competencies, what work we did, and then it said the type of client we wanted. It was a great conversation starter with referral sources. It kept the type of clients we wanted on top of their mind. And so, of course, we started to get better referrals from them because they had a clear understanding of what we were looking for. And they weren't trying to be, you know, disrespectful by sending us different types of clients, but they didn't have an understanding until we really identified with them the type of referrals we want. Almost making it full circle for me, you know, doing referral events, meet and greets with different types of referral sources and really getting to know them. And if you're a firm that's going through a little bit of succession planning, making sure to include that next level of management in those events, and you can have kind of the leaders of the firm introducing and mingling with that next generation of leaders. Having a referral strategy, knowing very, very similar to what you might do for your prospects. When are you going to get in touch with them? Are you going to do coffee? Are you going to do lunch? Having those quote-unquote touches with that referral source outlined. Of course, giving them a referral is always probably the best way to get them to give you a referral next. And, you know, thanking them. Make sure you are updating them if they already give you a referral, thanking them. Even if it doesn't work out, thank them. Let them know where you are in the process so they feel involved and that you appreciated what you appreciated that referral.
Oh, it looks like we have a question here.
And this is referring back to what Courtney was just talking about with thought leadership.
Can you scroll up just a little bit? Isn't republishing considered duplicate content? That's a really good point. So when we talk about republishing, we don't necessarily mean to copy and paste an article to your website. What you could do if you were going to put that content on your website is use a teaser link and then link to that article, or you could use the first paragraph of that article and write a continue reading at ... and say why you think this is such an important piece for your clients and prospects to read. Similarly, on social media, you're not really republishing the content, you're just linking to the content, and you are creating your own status update so that it comes from you and showing that you're really the thought leader because you're curating this content for your readers. I get a daily email from Convince and Convert, which is kind of an online marketing guru source. And they have some of their own created content, but they have a lot of curated content that they link to within their newsletter. And they don't represent it to be their own. They just write up a short summary of what the article is about, why it's useful, and then link to it.
Okay, and then getting back, talking about referrals, Courtney's going to talk about online. There we go. So for speaking back to kind of that traditional referral source, the first thing that anyone is going to do when they get a referral from you in the age of the internet is they're going to turn to Google and they are going to type in your name and they're going to look for you. And sometimes if you have really good SEO, you'll pop up right away and sometimes you won't. Regardless of whether you're going to pop up right away, have you ever noticed how those ads on Google, they just catch your eye right away? That's where we're talking about advertising. And those ads are really cost effective. You can typically really easily manage your budget, and you can set a daily limit in terms of how much you want to spend. Typically it costs less than $1 to refer someone to your site, which is great. It's a great cost-effective tool to use. Google and LinkedIn ads are a great way to generate content people back to your site that are really searching for what you offer. It's highly targeted because they're searching for particular services that are related back to what you do. You want to make sure that you're setting them to a targeted page of your site, such as one of those videos that we talked about earlier. That's something that Sykes does. They create ads that then refer people back to those videos that are created after they're searching for particular keywords, and that's been hugely successful for them. The other thing that page needs is a really strong call to action that relates back to what step that prospect can take next, whether that's contacting you or directing them to more content on your site that then tells them to contact you, or if it, maybe they have to fill in a lead generation form, just a short gate, a lead generation form that gates the content, so once they enter their name and email, they can access it. That information then gets sent to you, and you have their contact information and can follow up with them as well. And then you want to make sure that you're using Google Analytics for tracking and analyzing how you're using the ads and how they're performing so that you can tweak them throughout the process if needed. You want to make sure that, depending on your industry and your business, that they're going to the right pages and they're viewing more pages on your site, or they're taking that follow-up step by calling you. Well, the example we have here is our client, Osvig Tree Service. In fact, as we were putting this together, we were laughing a little bit because he just called us the other day and said, you need to stop the Google ads. We have so much business we can't keep up. So that is the best case scenario. And how we work with them, and they're seasonal, so this works really well, but so are some of the industries you're in as well, that we, during the winter months, really developed his referral strategy. We have a list of 6 companies that we have identified to possibly give him wonderful referrals, and we implement that referral strategy of meeting them, talking with them, explaining the type of clients you want, and have recently developed a Google ad campaign that has been really, really effective. You know, we only have like a couple minutes left because if you don't know, Ingenuity's webinars have gone from 1 hour to 25 minutes is what we're trying to keep them at. So I wanted Cortney to really quickly talk about how to write a successful ad because I think that's an important piece and part of the reason we have had such great success with this client.
So one of the things to keep in mind with when you're writing an ad is that it needs to be short and punchy. It's you have a certain number of characters that you're limited to in terms of what appears on the page. So you want to make sure that what you're writing really fits within that and makes sense. And it makes sense to someone who's reading it in 8 seconds or less. So make sure that that headline really communicates what you do. Make sure that you're linking to an interior page of your site that maybe you're just using for the ad campaign so that it's really easy to track engagement. And make sure that you're following those ads on a day-to-day basis or even a week-to-week basis, depending on how much traffic you're seeing, just so that you can stay on top of what needs to be tweaked and what doesn't. It's not always about the content in the ad. It's also about what's on the landing page. So you may see that people are coming onto your site and then they're leaving after viewing one page. That may not be so much the ad that needs to be tweaked. It may be the content on the page. So it's kind of a twofold concept in terms of how you run your Google ad campaign.
That's the importance of tracking, so you can tweak it, because that's the nice thing about online. You can tweak it
and it's live in 3 seconds as opposed to a direct mailer, which has to be perfect when you print it.
Absolutely. So then just to really summarize, we highly recommend, no matter what tactics you combine, we gave you a couple of examples that we've paired together really nicely, but the reality is they could all work together for one campaign, or you can mix and match. So strategic implementation, as with anything, is key, and identifying those target prospects is a way to really make sure you're maximizing your time and your money. And develop the plan and course of action and implementation. And like Cortney just said, tracking the results no matter what it is. And again, you mentioned it a little bit, but with Sykes, you know, we do the events, we do the video online blogs or online video blogs, we do Google ads, we do referrals. So we're mixing and matching kind of the whole gamut of everything we talked here about today.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, the more that you can do, especially within a very targeted market, the more successful you'll be because you'll be so much more visible within that market. So making sure that you're really choosing an industry that you can own and making sure that you're implementing a lot of traditional and online tactics so that you own it across the board is so important.
Are there any other questions today?
If you notice on the bar on the right of your screen, you can enter a question into the question box if you have any questions.
If you don't have any questions now, real quick, you can sign up for Ingenuity's Ingenious Review, a bi-monthly newsletter that keeps you kind of up to date on what's happening here at Ingenuity and some of the latest, greatest trends that we're seeing. The webinar series, which you are participating in today. These are just a brag slide, a little moment of the awards we've won.
And you can always email either of us, Shana@ingenuitymarketing.com or Cortney@ingenuitymarketing.com. We're always happy to answer any questions that you have after the webinar as well.
And you can follow us like us on Facebook and LinkedIn and find out what we're doing. So thank you for your time today. We really appreciate it, and we only ran over by a couple of minutes.
Have a great day.
Thank you.